What's up, my poker players? Just want to say welcome to all the new viewers. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're new here. Today we're going to look at my first losing session of the 100K challenge, dealing with bad beats and knowing when to fold big hands like ace king and ace queen pre-flop. And we'll finish up this aces hand. You can probably guess what happens. The first hand we're going to look at is ace king out of the hijack seat. Make a standard raise of 3x pre-flop and get re-raised by the button, which is a short stack of $10. And at this point I'm pot committed if I'm going to play, so I'm just going to go all in pre-flop and get some fold equity in case this person decides to fold a hand like nines, tens, ace king could possibly fold there. And they have queens. I'm not upset with that play. I think it was a good play. You want to put the pressure on them with ace king, and in a short stack situation, getting in pre-flop with ace king isn't going to be a bad play in the long run. The next hand we're going to look at is tens out of under the gun. I make a raise to 3x. We got tight players to the left, quite a few regulars, and we get re-raised by the small blind, who over 72 hands is re-raised 13% of hands, which is high. We have a pretty draw heavy board here. I'm going to make a 2/3 pot size bet with top set and get called. And I fill up on the turn. I want to make a bet that keeps him around, but at the same time still gets enough money in the pot that I can get a large river size bet and get the most value out of that hand. He did call the flop bet. I might have overbet that one a little bit if he folds 100% of turn bets, but I'm still trying to get the most value by the river there. Here we have pocket eights under the gun +1. Get called by the hijack seat, who is a fairly loose caller pre-flop, not very aggressive. 50% fold rate post-flop, 67% bet rate post-flop. So that 67% he bets a lot of hands. I'm going to check call most likely here and see what happens. And he does bet again for half pot. Tej 54. I'm going to call. I'll probably check call again here because he's got the 67%, which is a high bet rate. He's probably only hitting that flop a very small percentage of the time. Again, check. I might call depending on the bet here, and he checks because he was beat the whole way. He's got a poor showdown percentage as well, so that played into it a little bit too. And we move over to ace 5 offsuit out of the button and betting into the blinds that are both tight players with high fold percentages post-flop. Is a great spot to bet in, and continuation bet with a very dry board there with a queen high. Gonna bet a little bit below 2/3 pot, and he will most likely fold, which is exactly what happens, and I win another small pot there. Now we're looking at ace king suited from under the gun +1. I'm going to raise to 3 times the big blind, and it folds all the way around to the button, who makes the call with a high call percentage, very low aggression factor post-flop, decent bet percentage post-flop, decent call percentage post-flop. With a dry board like that, I'm gonna check and see if he bets into me, because there's not a lot of hands he can draw out to, unless he's got like 7 or 8, 7, 8. And I hit an ace on the turn, which helps me again. Those numbers look pretty good. He's got a low bet percentage, low fold percentage, but it is over a small range, and the ace most likely didn't make his hand. It actually made my hand. So I'm going to go ahead and let him bet again, and at this point I'm going to raise to make any draws pay for it. So I am going to make it 3 times his bet, which would pot commit him as well. And he folds. And I win a pretty decent pot there. He was most likely trying to rep the king and then trying to rep the ace. And here we are looking at ace queen offsuit from the hijack seat. There is a dead 25 cents, actually not a dead, just a post, and a check from Scuba Girl who made the post. This is a great spot to isolate because Scuba Girl could literally have any hand, most likely not a very good hand if she just checked her post bet there. So I'm going to make it 5x to play, which is a good size for an isolation bet, or to win the hand right up front. 2 tight players to my left, and it folds all the way around to Scuba Girl. And we don't have stats on this since it's her first hand. And a king high board, 2 clubs on the board. We don't know Scuba Girl's stats, but it was such a dry board that we can go ahead and make a bet with the ace high, and we will make money on that. Scuba Girl's stats should pop up here now too, and we can see, yeah, she is a pretty loose player, very loose player pre-flop, and doesn't fold too much post-flop. Average betting post-flop too, but loose pre-flop. Which will play in perfectly with this hand. So with the min raise, we're going to bet bigger here because Scuba Girl does call so often pre-flop. So I'm going to make it 4 times Scuba Girl's bet with the pocket aces. And we have a couple folds to the left. That bet is meant to get everyone else out of the hand so that I can play heads up against Scuba Girl, who is most likely going to call here. She's taking her time, and she does make the call with a king high flop, 50% fold rate post flop. It's a pretty dry board. I could see a smaller bet here with a looser player just to try to induce a call. And over here, I am bringing up quad aces. Hello. Just a call there to try to sucker someone in. Don't want to give your hand away. You know, if you raise there, you're pretty much represented. And an all-in over there. Boom. Full house versus quads. Thank you. And I won the hand over there against Scuba Girl as well. I bet, and she folded right away. Right into king, queen suited diamonds on the button. That is a good hand to play pre-flop. With a raise from the cutoff, from a tight player. Not many hands on this player, but we do know that this player is a very tight pre-flop player, and that also correlates with this player's non-folding post-flop. So usually they're only going to play very good hands pre-flop and then play it all the way to the river. So we're going to find out right now exactly how strong this player's hand is. They fold, and king queen is a good hand to play post flop against a stronger hand that would call like jacks or tens. So I like that 3-bet from the button just to put some pressure on that type of player. And we have aces again. This time from the hijack seat, make it 3 times the big blind. We have tight players to our left. Looks like we're pretty much all against regulars on this one. With a call by Only the Nuts, who has a very low aggression, post-flop aggression. Probably only betting the nuts. And a relatively high post-flop fold just on the flop, and then isn't folding too much on the turn and river, probably because they're only playing the nuts. So we flop top set, which is amazing. It's a pretty draw-heavy board. There's quite a few straight draws and 1 flush draw out there. So we're going to bet 2/3 pot. We get a fold from Only the Nuts. That was pretty anticipated, but we get called from K. Sander, who checks it back to us, and now we have a full house aces over queens. We're going to bet around 2/3 of the pot again, trying to induce an ace to call. A queen will definitely call, maybe even get a call from a flush draw. Let's see if we can get this flush draw or just the last ace to make a call here. With this regular type player, you know that their hand is pretty strong and they're probably going to make any call now. But I want to make it so that an ace will definitely make a call here. So I'm going to make it as large as I can that I think an ace will call from a regular player. So I think that's a pretty good bet size. A little bit more than 2/3 of the pot. I don't see any ace folding here. Queen's, again, definitely going to call. Flush draw missed and will not call, but I think any ace is going to call. So hopefully this bet size will induce a call, thinking that I might have missed my flush or might have missed my draw, my straight draw. Yeah, and we do get a call. We have sixes on the cutoff. Scuba Girl finally folded a hand. Holy cow. So we're going to make it 3x from the cutoff. Get a call from the button. Fold from the small blind. Looks like the button is a pretty loose pre-flop player as well as the big blind. Both have relatively high fold percentages on the flop, but that hand is pretty wet. There's straight draws, there's obvious flush draw, possible flush out there. And Table Bully is taking his time. Checks to me. I'm going to bet here just to get some value in case I do fill up by the river. And I want to make any draw pay. So there's probably going to be an ace, maybe a king of clubs that would call here. There is the possibility that Table Bully slow played a flush on the flop. We will find out soon if I bet large again and he does make a raise. There is an ace, and maybe this player has ace queen, which would be great because they'll probably call. And so I'm going to make a big bet here. If I get raised, I have to pretty much fold, which isn't fun, but if you get call, check, raised with a flush on the board, 3 cards to a flush on the board like that, you pretty much know that this player has it. And they just call the entire way. So I think I'm good. I'm going to try to get some value here on the river and maybe get called by a 2-pair or just an ace. And they call and mock. I think we got as much value out of that one as we could. I'm going to guess and say he had ace queen with the ace of clubs. And here we are going back to the aces hand that started out the video, I think. I'm assuming that's what it is. We got a raise from Mr. John 1 in middle position. And it folds around to us in the small blind. We are going to no doubt raise here, being out of position against Mr. John. We make it 5 1/4 to go. He's got a 39% VPIP pre-flop, so he's probably going to make this call. He does. We're going to bet into him again. It's a pretty draw-heavy board, and he goes all in. We're no way going to fold that hand with aces. And he flopped top 2-pair against us, and he called a re-raise pre-flop with Queen 10. Not that good of a hand. You can expect it from a player whose VPIP is 39% pre-flop, and he got lucky against us. And what are you going to do? It's not really the way you want to end a session, but it happens once in a while, and without players like that, the game of poker would not be profitable. So you do want players to make those type of calls. A lot of people will get mad and look down upon this player because of that call, but in actuality, that's exactly what you want to happen. You want him to play like shit and get lucky once in a while because that's going to keep him coming back. And eventually in the long run, you're going to win enough of those pots that it'll make up for it and you're going to be winning money, even though he did take this pot, that son of a bitch. I know I said I'd get to folding big hands like ace queen and ace king preflop, but I just noticed we're already at about 15 minutes, so we'll start off the next video with that. Stick around, hit that subscribe button so you get notified when the next video comes out. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. If you have any questions or comments about my play, please leave them down in the comment section. Head down to the video description for links to America's Card Room and Hold'em Manager. If you want a $1,000 deposit bonus, use promo code DKPoker when making your first deposit. You will also get a $50 tournament entry. Thanks for watching my poker players, and look for me out on the virtual felt of America's Card Room. Mr. Johnny, son of a bitch.